welcome back to my channel. If this is the first time that I've been given the pleasure to introduce myself to you, I'm Vanessa and I, and welcome to the fam. So guys, today we are going to be exposing the hidden influences in your life. So we are going to be figuring out exactly what is affecting your life right now without you even knowing. So this is happening behind the scenes, subconsciously. Up until this video, you may have not been able to pinpoint at these situations, but thankfully I can help you gain some clarity with this. So in order to help you expose the hidden influences in your life, I have 4 groups that you may choose from. So I would like you to pick one of these 4 groups intuitively. So just pick whichever mineral or card resonates the most with you, and then click your corresponding timestamp to fast forward to your reading. The 4 groups are as follows. We have the amber, we have the white aragonite, we have the pyrite, as well as the amethyst. Why do I feel like a tea channel today? Exposed. I'm gonna expose you. So before I get into the readings, I just wanted to thank each and every one of you for supporting my channel and for allowing me to continue what I do here on YouTube. My channel has been growing so rapidly, and this is just kind of crazy. Because to be honest with you, I have never seen so much positivity on the internet as each and every one of you bring to my channels. So I just wanted to let you know how grateful that I am for that, and just express to you guys how much I love and appreciate you. So yeah guys, enough of my cheesy intro, let's get into the readings. I'm going to be starting off with the first group, which corresponds to the amber, and to all the other groups, I will catch you at the click of your timestamp. Hello group number 1, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the amber group number 1. I'm ready to figure out exactly what hidden influences are in your life. So let's get to exposing. We have candles. So there is a hidden influence here in your life that has to do with magic. So there's magic happening around you, and I don't want you to feel scared. I don't want you to feel as if this is anything that is threatening you. Magic is something positive. Magic is something where unexplainable things happen that are amazing, that just put you in a space where you're in disbelief, where you think to yourself, wow, like this cannot be a coincidence. It cannot be a coincidence that I was so sad this morning and this afternoon I learned that I might get a promotion, or that my crush really likes me, or that my business idea might actually come to fruition. So that is the kind of magic that I'm speaking about, that has an influence on your life behind the scenes that you may have not noticed. Then in Homeland, one thing that I see here is that there is a strong foundation in your life that sort of leads you down the path that you're going towards. So I want you to know that during your upbringing, during your childhood, during the time where you were growing up, you might not notice how much of an impact that still has on you. So that could be positive or negative. And I want you to be very careful and cautious when you go back, down memory lane and think of all the experiences that you've had, that you've been through, and when you think about the positives as well as the things that may have been challenging or put you in a compromised position, because sometimes we can also psych ourselves out. We can also think to ourselves, wow, okay, like my parents never gave me the attention or love that I wanted, therefore it is probably their fault that I am now in this space. So I don't want you to kind of psych yourself out to think that everything in your life that is maybe challenging has to do with childhood trauma, but there are things hidden here. There are influences now that are from your childhood that are affecting your day-to-day life. So maybe you have anxiety, maybe you feel like it's hard to get close to other people. Either way, know that this is something you can work through, maybe with professional help or just by speaking to somebody who can understand. But I also realize that often when you feel like somebody has done you wrong, especially if it's like family, it can be very hard to speak to them and bring it up, because often they don't want to take responsibility for having had such a big negative impact on your life. And I know it's something that's really hard to speak about, and not many people like to speak about that, but it's important for you to know that if you feel, or you already know, that you won't get the support that you need with your family, with the people who were there as you were growing up, then just speak to somebody else. There's no point in forcing it, because if somebody doesn't want to get it and understand that what they have done still has an influence on your life, then there's literally no point in wasting your time, group number 1. Then we have the 5 of acorns as well as the 10 of crystals. So in the 5 of acorns, one thing that I see here is that you feel like growth is something that is more challenging than it maybe needs to be. In the 10 of crystals, I see that you are more comfortable with just like a stable schedule when you know exactly what is going on and exactly what the plan is. So group number 1, you may struggle with being spontaneous or doing things that just when they pop up. You may be the kind of person who just likes to plan ahead and likes to make sure that everything is organized. And in the 5 of acorns, I just want you to know that in order for there to be growth, you need to be in situations where you feel uncomfortable, where you feel out of place, and where you're not quite sure what you're doing. Because when you know what you're doing, you have that stability, and you're never going to do anything outside of the box or think outside of the box or find a solution that is different, that will give you a new viewpoint or a new skill to work with. And we have the 3 of shells as well as the 7 of acorns. Okay, so we have 2 acorns in here as well as the candles. There's fiery energy around here. You may have not noticed this, but things that are working in the hidden realm subconsciously have a lot to do with that outgoing, passionate, fire sign kind of energy. And I want you to know here in the 7 of acorns that you are extremely determined. Right now, your energy is on an all-time go-getter type of high, and you can make exceptional use of this. You can really turn this into something phenomenal. In the 3 of shells, I see here that something that is working in the hidden realm, something that has an effect on your life that you may have not noticed, is the fact that you are very much like in need of a little time out, of letting your hair down, and of just partying and having fun, okay? That is something that you've maybe deprived yourself of, or you thought to yourself, well, I don't really need that, or it's probably best to just stay home or to be a little more chill. But sometimes you need to go out and dance or sing and do something that you might otherwise not allow yourself to do. But let's move further into your reading, group number 1, to figure out more of the things that are happening to you. So we have challenges as well as the crown portal. So one thing that I see here in the crown portal, which corresponds to the crown chakra, is the fact that there is some sort of separation anxiety. I see that there is not like quite like a unity between your head, your body, just there's kind of like a separation there, okay? I see that your head wants one thing, your body wants another, and your heart wants another thing, okay? And I see that this brings challenges. This brings sort of like negativity, because you're constantly butting heads within yourself. There's constantly like this influence happening within you where everything is going in a different direction. So your heart maybe wants to get back with someone or get with someone where you know, okay, it's actually not a good idea. That's what your head thinks. And then your body is like, please just take me to the gym and feed me some kale or something, but stop abusing me with this cake. You know what I mean? Where every ounce of you is just pulling in another direction, and there's sort of like no, how should I say? There's sort of like nothing here that is leading in one direction, down one path that is going to end up in success. Because I want you to know that success takes determination, as well as you just doing the same thing over and over again and getting better at it, and then eventually coming to like this break, eventually coming to the point where success follows. So that is that way in business, you know, just constantly making sure that you're growing, that you're doing the same actions to grow your business over and over again until you hit a point where finally there's a breakthrough. So that is one thing that I see you needing to sort out within your body and yourself, this just hidden influence where there needs to be one route only that you're going down, and it has to be in alignment with what you think is right and what you also know is best for you, group number 1. Then we have the High Priestess, the Sun, we have the 9 of Acorns, as well as the Magician. Okay, so we have more acorns, definitely more fiery energy. Another thing that I see here is the Magician, the High Priestess, as well as the Sun, which are all three major arcana cards, which means that this is not really in your control. This is something that is inevitably just part of your life or going to be a part of your life. So in the Sun, I want you to know that vitality, joy, just happiness, being able to celebrate and be in a good place mentally, that is what I see coming up for you. And it's amazing that it's something that you basically don't have control over, especially if you've been in a slump, especially if you've been in a situation where you feel unappreciated or you kind of feel like a little depressed. In the High Priestess as well as the Magician, I want you to know that some of the hidden influences again have to do like with magic, with a force that is still to be explained. So you may be religious, you may not be religious, you may believe in the universe or just the laws of nature, the laws of attraction, for instance. And I see here that it's important for you to know that you can use this sort of power, magic, whatever you want to call it, that is around us in order to create. No matter what your belief is, you can still allow yourself to create with something that is bigger than you by attracting it, by making sure that you get closer to it, as well as just furthering your knowledge and just really fine-tuning your intuition. That is one thing that I see for you, group number one, that when it comes to these things that are happening, that are unexplainable, that are almost like magic, you can fine-tune your intuition to come to a point of understanding, of mutual understanding, where you know exactly what message, what energy, what vibe to put out there in order to attract what it is that you truly desire. So there is a way to learn that, there is a way to do that. In the Nine of Acorns, I see that perseverance is very important, as well as just putting a lot of energy into that. Because right now, one of the things that you may not notice is the fact that so much of this energy, magic, power in your life has been left untouched. You're not properly manifesting as much as you could with the energy around you, and you're kind of missing out, group number one. And I want this to end today. I want you to make sure that you take time to really learn when your intuition is trying to tell you something, and to learn how to, for instance, journal, to learn how to, for instance, write down affirmations. So write down things in the present tense, like I am successful, I make X amount of money each month, I am in a successful marriage, I have children. Whatever it is that you want, write it down and in the I am tense, you know, in the present tense, because whenever you say I am, that is what you become. So if you say, for instance, I'm sad, then that is what you keep ingraining into your cells. Like I literally only say this for the video, otherwise I will not. But just because I want you guys to have an example, like that is something that I don't allow myself to say, anything that is not a positive affirmation. And I want you to focus on the same, and make sure that you don't say I will or I'm going to, because that is where a lot of people's manifestation actually ends up failing, and they ask themselves why, is because they're still subconsciously saying I will be successful, or I will get married, I will have children, and then you will just constantly be in the I'm going there phase. You know, you'll be constantly on your way to where it is that you're going without actually ever achieving. So group number one, I hope that that explanation was helpful. I hope that this gave you motivation to figure out exactly how you can work with the things that are happening behind the scenes. Let me know down below what really hit home, and I will see you in one of my upcoming readings. Hello, group number two, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the white Aragonite. I want to get straight into your reading to figure out exactly what hidden influences are going on behind the scenes in your life. So first and foremost, we have hand fasting. So one thing that I see here is the fact that there is a relationship that has a really big impact on you right now, and you may not realize it. So this may express itself in the form of codependency, for instance, where you feel insecure in leaving the house without this person, or going out to do something without having somebody by your side. But it could also be that you just emotionally really rely on this one human being to be there for you, and I want you to be careful with that, group number two. So I'm not saying that you need to have a large amount of friends, by no means. I am myself not somebody with a large friend circle, so I totally get you. But at the same time, try and diversify who you lean on. Try and make sure that you spread out equal amounts of attention, as well as the feeling of need with the people in your life, okay? Don't just rely on one person, because that person will have a bad day, will have something going on in their life, and they won't be able to be there for you. And then, of course, things will be difficult. You'll feel almost like a little neglected, and I don't want that to happen for you. Allow yourself to feel free within your relationships, to feel like they're just here to make your life better, but not like you necessarily need them, okay? As crazy as it sounds, you have to be independent to know, like, if you had nobody, you could still do life. Obviously, life wouldn't be as nice, okay? Don't get me wrong, but you have to have that strength come out in you. Then we have Yule. So one thing that I see here is a rebirth. So there is a rebirth happening in the hidden realms. You're probably not noticing this, group number 2. You're probably not noticing the change the way it's actually happening. So by that I mean you might be having more headaches, you might be feeling a little nauseous, you may just feel weird in your body and you don't know why. And that may be because of this rebirth. That is exactly why this card showed up in your reading, group number 2, and why your guides want you to see this and know about this. So a rebirth has everything to do with things changing for you on a cellular level, where your entire self, your entire being can just develop into its latest form, okay? So basically you 2.0, that is what I'm speaking about, group number 2. Then we have fire as well as homeland. So one thing that you may be in dire need of is a little bit more passion in your life, okay? I feel as though passion is maybe something that you struggle with, and it may be something where you kind of feel like you need a lot of stability before you can let yourself be you, before you can let yourself show someone else who you truly are at the core. And that is one thing that I see here in homeland, that it is very important for you to always build a very stable foundation, which is not always possible though. Sometimes you have to show who you truly are, and I'm not talking in a romantic way, I'm just talking in general. You have to show that spunk, that personality in different situations. It could be a job interview, it could be in an interview for a school, it could be when introducing yourself to a new circle of friends. You know, you have to be on. And one thing that is important for you to know is that the kind of like need for stability is holding you back. It is not allowing you to truly represent who you are to people who don't know you. So obviously the people who know you know how amazing you are, group number 2, but everybody who just meets you, I feel like you could make a better impression. I feel as though what you could do is just allow yourself to be out there a little more. Do you understand what I mean? Hit that thumbs up button if you know what I mean. Let me know that you understand that you can still like ignite that fire within you. But let's move further into your reading, group number 2. We have the 7 of acorns as well as the 6 of crystals. So in the 7 of acorns, one thing that I see here that is happening behind the scenes is this determination, okay? I see that there's something that you really want to accomplish, and you may have not even noticed how badly you want it. In the 6 of crystals, I want you to, yes, you know, like still go after it, but at the same time be grateful for everything that is around you right now. So I feel this sort of want and need for something maybe material, for something that has to do with finances. And I want you to not forget about what is really important, for you to not forget about the balance between the spiritual realms as well as the material realms. And that is exactly what the 6 of crystals is here for. It is here to keep you in balance, to make sure that you remember who you are and that you don't get carried away by what is portrayed everywhere. Okay, let's be real. We can't get away from all of these people displaying wealth, displaying things that we need, you know, the latest gadgets, the latest makeup, the latest clothing, and it's just always in our face 24/7, and it can truly have an influence subconsciously without us even realizing. It's almost like propaganda, if you will. It's almost like putting something in your head where you did not give permission to allow this to be in your head, but because you live in this day and age, you just sort of like have to be okay with it because there's nothing you can do about it. At the end of the day, this is how media works, social media, and we are just like the sponges that just soak it all up. And the effects that it actually has on our lives, nobody ever really considers that when they're putting these messages out there. And it should, in my opinion, not have to be this way. I feel as though it is kind of sad that as humans we don't have a choice as to what kind of media we take in. We don't have control over whether we take in things that are positive or negative. The only way how you can really have control over what you consume is, of course, if you have that full control over your phone, you don't have news apps on, or for like the first hour of the day you're not on your phone at all, and you just try and avoid until you're at a point where you're like, yeah, like I'm ready to see this and it's not going to have an effect on me. But we're just constantly bombarded with stuff everywhere we look, on billboards, posters, in magazines, TV. So it's kind of like hard to escape that, you know, because you can't shut yourself off from the world completely either. So I get you, group number 2. Then we have emergence as well as destiny. So I see here that your destiny is working in a certain way, is working down a certain journey or path without you even really noticing. I see here that it has a lot to do with your divine life purpose, and in emergence, I want you to know that this is soon going to resurrect and sort of come to light. So your divine life purpose may be something that you've been struggling with, that you maybe still feel like you don't really know what it is, or you may feel like you've only uncovered a little part, because a life purpose does not have to be one thing. You can have multiple things in your life's purpose. Your life's purpose could be working with children or animals, and then at the same time being somebody who builds businesses in order to provide jobs. You don't have to be one or the other. It could be that your purpose has to do with a lot of different roles that you play, but it's all working together. I see that your life's purpose, as well as the fact that, you know, your destiny is kind of like to be of service in a way. I see that that is coming more and more to light for you to understand and for you to have more clearly before you. Then we have isolation as well as the root portal. So group number 2, in isolation, I want you to know that you may be in a phase in your life right now where you just don't really want to talk that much, where you want your space, where you kind of want people to back off. And I want you to know that this can lead to loneliness if you don't inform people about what's going on. So as I said, we don't have that much control over what we consume, but one thing that we can do is just retreat on our own terms, on our own behalf. But you have to inform people when you're doing that. If you're doing a day without your phone, or you're sort of just wanting some time alone, away, make sure that you let people know what you're doing. Make sure that you keep them sort of like informed. As I can see here in the root portal, there is fear here for you. I can see that things are happening that you're unaware of, where people are really afraid for this change that is happening within you, and they may feel like you're kind of going crazy. They may feel like this rebirth is turning you into a whole nother person, and it's important for you to continue reminding people like, hey, I'm the same person. I'm just becoming a better version of me. I'm just becoming a more balanced version of me that is on the life path that I'm supposed to be on. So allow yourself to just come forth with that. Don't feel like you have to hide in the closet or isolate yourself to the point where you become lonely, because that will just spiral you more into kind of like a depression, and it will be way harder to reconnect once the bond has kind of been severed a little bit, if you know what I mean, group number 2. So be aware of that. Even if it's something that you have not noticed up until this reading, now you know. There's a reason why you tuned into this. So group number 2, I truly hope that you enjoyed this reading. I hope that it hit home. Let me know down below in the comment section what really got to you, and I will see you in one of my upcoming videos. Hello, group number 3, and welcome to your reading. Are you ready to expose the hidden influences in your life? I think we are. So you chose the Pyrite group number 3, which is also known as the Fool's Gold, and it is honestly one of my favorite stones. If you know me, then you know that I like anything that is sparkly and just beautiful, like crystals. But let's move right into your reading. We have the Lord or God and masculine energy. So group number 3, I want you to know here that one of the hidden influences has a lot to do with very masculine energy. So know that this can be intimidating and this can scare people off. When you have too much masculine energy, you can be a little bit confrontational. It can be hard for you to back off, especially in an argument, and this can cause further friction. This is something that you may not be aware of, the fact that you're not quite in balance, your masculine and your feminine side. And trust me, it doesn't matter whether you're a boy, a girl, a unicorn, whoever you identify as, we all have both energies, and they have to be in balance within us for us to feel good, for us to feel productive and to feel like ourselves. When things are out of balance, you can't quite pinpoint what it is, but you just feel agitated. You know that feeling when everything just annoys you the entire day. And I totally feel you, group number 3, and the best way to get this back into balance is to try and bring more feminine energy forth, where you're a little bit more empathetic, understanding, where you indulge more in creativity. So if you like to draw, you don't have to be good at drawing. If you find it therapeutic, try that. Another thing that you can also try is to do things like singing, dancing, try yoga, try and do things that really get you back in your zone and connect you to your body and have you be less kind of like aggressively trying to do something, but just more in a chill mode. Then we have the pentacle. So in the pentacle, one thing that I see here is that people respect you, okay? Respect is a big thing here, and this is something that is happening. This is like a hidden influence that is happening, but it could turn sour with too much masculine energy to where you're almost like a king who tells everybody what to do. You know what I mean, group number 3? So you may not realize this, but the fact that you just want to like get things done can sometimes scare people, especially if other people are not as ambitious as you are. So allow yourself to also respect their beliefs, even if you have a very strong viewpoint. And that is one thing that I feel like I also had to learn. So I've been a dietary vegan for a very long time, and it's just like at the beginning when I had this epiphany that there is a connection between humans, animals, the environment, and why isn't anybody speaking about this? I wanted to get it out there, and people thought I was crazy because I had so much passion for it. I had so much masculine energy where I was the driving force trying to inform everybody about how awesome it would be if they would cut back on, you know, animal products, if they would try and limit their consumption of meat and dairy. So this is one thing that I feel like you may have in your life. So you may be really strongly into the environment, really into human rights. It may be very important for you to support animal rights. Whatever it is, allow yourself to still respect other people's viewpoints, or else they won't even hear you. Because when you come off too strong, because you're passionate, so it's nothing bad, okay, I get it. When you're passionate, your emotions are heightened. And I want you to know that oftentimes people get defensive and feel attacked, especially if they see a point in what you're saying, so they won't admit that they see a point in what you're saying, and instead, you know, get defensive and tell you that you're crazy and all of these kinds of things. You know, been there, done that. So try and just like have more of a neutral approach. Just say like, look, these are the facts and this is what I believe in and this is what I'm doing, but I respect whatever you're doing. And if you want to know more about my approach towards life, feel free to ask. So that is what I would recommend for you, group number 3. Then we have banishment as well as grounding. So group number 3, one thing that is definitely happening in the hidden realms is just the fact that you're getting rid of people who just don't resonate with you anymore, group number 3. So, okay. As life goes on, you know, we grow. Not everybody is meant to be there with us 10 years, 20 years, 40 years in life. Some people, some friendships and relationships are here for a certain amount of time, maybe for 2 months, 2 years, 2 decades for a reason. And after that, they just don't resonate with us. Maybe you just grow in different directions, you outgrow people, and that is completely okay. And I want you to just kind of like let go of them in a very gentle way. I want you to focus on staying grounded and not feeling like you are the outcast, not feeling like it is your fault or like anything is wrong with you because of that. We all develop further in life. You know, we all go through some sort of transformation constantly. I mean, change is inevitable. We all evolve, and some people evolve at a quicker rate than others. Some people try and resist this sort of evolution. Some people try and resist growth, and that is when, you know, things start to clash. So if you're really into growth, if you're really into making your life the way you want it to be, and there are some people in your life who are trying to resist it or don't feel as though your growth is justified, then obviously your ideas, your worldview will differ, and that can cause friction or even a friendship where you just don't get each other anymore. But be grateful for what you had up until that point. Don't be sad that it ended. Just kind of like be happy that it happened. Okay, that is a really cheesy quote, okay, but be grateful for what you had is basically what I'm trying to say to you, group number 3. Then we have the Guardians as well as the Gaian Awakening. So in the Gaian Awakening, I see here some sort of awakening happening in the hidden realms for you. I see here that there's some sort of ascension of your soul, of your spirit, where you're moving to the next chapter where you feel truly free, where you're not so concerned anymore with how you look, what your social status may be, and you're just more interested in reaching this point of emotional freedom, of just happiness and this lightness. And I see here in the Gaian Awakening here that your inner self, you know, who you are, your soul, is going to go through a complete relocation. It is never going to be in the same spot again. You are now moving on to a different place. And the Guardians, I want you to know that sometimes you have to defend this process, group number 3, because not everybody will understand and not everybody will support it. So as I said, you don't want to go too much on the offense with what you're going through, but if somebody is trying to attack you or call you a hypocrite or whatever it is that they want to say, because they can tell that you're changing, you're evolving, you're growing, and they may not agree with it, or that may be holding a mirror like in front of their face saying like, look at you, you're not growing, maybe you should try it too. And you know, some people find that intimidating. So they may react in a way how they're trying to say that you should stop, that it's not the right thing, but it's important for you to not listen. It's important for you to defend whatever growth it is that you are going through, because growth is what will really get you to ultimate happiness, is what will really get you to the ultimate feeling where you're like, I'm at a point where I'm just happy and now I can maintain. So we have the 4 of Acorns as well as the Ace of Crystals. And then we have the 8 of Crystal. Let's do one more card for you, group number 3, and the 9 of Crystals. So we have a lot of crystals. The crystals correspond to the earth signs, and that may just be the energy that you're kind of emitting. I mean, we have earth already once in your reading and 3 more times in the crystal cards. So I want you to know here that things in the earthly realms are happening without you even noticing. So maybe there's immense growth, or maybe there is a situation where the stability is being shaken. So immense growth is going to be happening right now for you in your job opportunities, in your financial spectrum, if you put in work and dedication. But if you've been neglecting that, I want you to know that things might be deteriorating quicker than you expected, and it is now time for you to pay attention to your finances as well as where you stand academically if you're still in school, or at your job if you have a certain profession that you're doing. If you're self-employed, be very aware of the fact that you have to bring things back into like an equilibrium. You have to bring things back to a point where they are centered and where things can flow the way they should, because right now you're on shaky grounds and you have to pay more attention to the numbers and invest a little bit more time. In the 4 of Acorns, one thing that I see here is to always sort of give your community more time than you thought you ever should, if you know what I mean. So you may think to yourself that hanging out with your friends once a month is enough, or once every 2 weeks. But actually, what you need to do is send more texts in between, is call, is maybe meet those 1 or 2 extra times every month, just in order to make sure that you keep that feeling of community, that you keep that sense of friendship going. And the Four of Acorns, I want you to know that right now you may feel a lot more safe in your relationships than you should, because relationships do take time, energy, and effort that you have to put in. There is no way around it. There is no way to maintain a relationship without making an effort, without investing enough time to actually have that closeness. So don't neglect your work or your relationships. I see that with you going through this sort of transformational time in your life, it is so important for you to pay attention to those who you know will support you, as well as where you can get financial support from, and to pay less attention to everybody who is a naysayer, to everybody who is kind of doubting you as a person. So group number 3, this is the reading that I received for you. I truly hope that you enjoyed it and that you found it insightful. If you did, let me know down in the comment section what really hit home, and I will see you in one of my upcoming readings. Hello group number 4, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the Amethyst group number 4. Are you ready to expose the hidden influences in your life? I think we are. So let's move right into it. We have the herbal kitchen. So one thing that I see here in the herbal kitchen is the fact that one thing that is kind of going on behind the scenes is this healing process, okay? So you trying to live more healthily is actually healing you a lot more than you may have ever expected. So taking care of yourself emotionally as well as physically, making sure that you're eating right, that you're eating clean. I mean, okay, we all mess up. If you're just sitting there with a bag of chips right now, I'm not trying to call you out. I'm just trying to say it's okay. It's okay. You know, we all, I want to say make mistakes, but it's not a mistake, okay? It just feels too good. But you know what I mean, like actually taking care of yourself and mostly trying to be as good as possible. That is what is really bringing you to a point where you are more balanced and where there's just so much healing happening, to the point where all of a sudden your entire life quality completely changes and improves. But let's move further into your reading. We have the magic circle. So in the magic circle, one thing that I see that is happening behind the hidden realms is that you are protected, group number 4. You are more protected than you think you are. Your guides are constantly sort of nudging your intuition to tell you what to do, and I want you to be more confident, okay? Because I feel as though you're not as confident as you could be, just because you're afraid of being hurt, you're afraid of something happening, but you have to drop the fear in order to get to a point where you can truly explore a new side of life, where you can truly explore a new world within the realms of your life. Then we have familiar as well as in bulk. So one thing that I see here is a kind of awakening, and it has a lot to do with things just becoming clearer to you, with you all of a sudden, as I said, you're protected and stepping more out of your comfort zone into a place where you can learn. And with stepping out of your comfort zone to a place where you can learn, there is, for instance, a lot of stepping out of comfort zones happening on my channel. Not everybody who subscribed to me came onto my videos, onto my channel, thinking that they would. They probably were skeptical. They probably were like, well, not probably. I read it in the comment section every day that you guys are surprised at how much you can really take out of these readings, and how much value these actually give you, and how much you feel like it helps your enlightenment and helps your awakening of yourself and maybe the view that you have for this world. So I want you to keep in mind that it is also very important for you to just protect the side of you that is vulnerable when you're going through this. So that is one thing that I want you to see here in the Guardian and Familiar, okay? It doesn't have to mean in Guardian that you are protecting somebody else. You could be protecting the very childlike part of you that is going through this awakening, that is going through this finding of who you truly are, and just this experience of figuring out exactly what you're meant to do, what your divine life purpose is. Then we have the Gaian Awakening. Okay, we have another card that states an awakening. So clearly this is something that you're going through that you may have not even noticed. And then we have a Oneness, which just jumped out of the pile of cards. In Oneness, I want you to know here that there is a lot of balance that needs to be restored, that will be restored as soon as you've gone through this. So if you're right now out of balance, freaking out, not happy, not knowing why you constantly feel agitated, know that this has a lot to do with the awakening. Furthermore, I want you to have patience with yourself, and I want you to engage more with your divine masculine. So do a lot more and don't say you'll do. Don't be so entangled in how you're going to do something, just start doing it. So if you want to start a blog, start writing today, okay? Just start, just try, just publish. Nothing's gonna happen, okay? The same goes for a YouTube channel. A lot of people build it up to be such a big thing, but truth is that first video that you publish, most likely it's gonna be like 10 people who see it, you know what I mean? And you're gonna know 5 of them maybe. So allow yourself to actually take action with the things that you want to do with your goals, because just those first little steps are so important to getting you used to taking further steps, but are not important as to thinking that everybody's going to see and judge. Most likely you're building things up in your head a lot more than you should, but you don't realize it, and that's why we're here. Group number 4. Then we have the Page of Crystals, the 5 of Acorns, the 7 of Crystals, as well as the 10 of Crystals. So we have 3 crystals cards. Crystals correlate to the earth signs, so I want you to know that grounding yourself is very beneficial right now going through this awakening. I want you to know in the 10 of Crystals that just being more stable financially, so try and save money, try and not spend as much as you maybe have, try and make sure that you live in a way that you're comfortable, but at the same time that you detach yourself from material things, because those are just going to bring more difficulty into your transformation, into your awakening, because they confuse you, okay? Because on one hand, you're maybe very happy spiritually, but then at the same time you feel like you still have the urge to buy things, like you still have the urge to constantly go out and eat, and it's confusing because you don't know, am I truly happy without these things, or do I still need them? So just put yourself to the test, group number 3. Just completely go cold turkey for a month, 2 months, make a no buy month, allow yourself to just be happy with what you already have, unless of course it's an emergency, but usually we already are basically decked out. Then in the Page of Crystals, I want you to know that a lot of things are happening behind the scenes that are testing your discipline. So maybe things are a little shaky right now in some of your relationships or in your professional life, and what you really need to prove is the discipline that you possess. And you're not noticing this right now because it's happening behind the scenes, but what you need to prove is that you're disciplined enough to follow through on the promises that you make, that you're disciplined enough to be the bigger person, and that you're disciplined enough to work overtime, to work very hard to get to where you want to be. So in the 5 of Acorns, I see a challenge, okay? I see that you feel almost like you're a little bit in a situation where you're almost like in a fight, where you're almost in a dispute with other people, with just the world. And it's very important for you to know that challenges are best just like done. And what I mean by that is often when something pops up, you get anxious, you get stressed, you get frustrated, and you start thinking of, oh my God, like, why is this happening? How can I fix it? And instead of just contemplating so much, as I said, engage with that divine masculine side of yours. That is one thing that we have in oneness. You have to really connect with that side that just does. It doesn't question too much how it's going to happen, but just makes it happen. And lastly, here in the 7 of Crystals, I want you to be very goal-oriented, okay? You have more options than you think you do. And in correlation to your goals, group number 4, this may not have been evident to you up until now, but for instance, if you want to become an author, or if you want to be on YouTube, if you want to start your own company, or make it in the corporate world, you may think to yourself that there's only one path. You may think to yourself that this is the path that I really need to take, and you may be so focused on that one path, on that one sort of way of doing it, that you completely miss that there are shortcuts, that there are detours that will show off a better side of you, that will get you way further in the long run. And this is just kind of limiting your vision, okay? This is kind of limiting how open you are, and also how successful you're able to be. So allow yourself to open up this vision, allow yourself to remove these sort of planks that are at the side of your head. You guys get what I mean, and just be more focused just on the result and not on the how you get to the result, if you know what I mean. So just see the result, Don't focus on how you're gonna get there. Believe that you're gonna get there and just allow things to happen, okay? Trust in the process of things happening as soon as you believe, because when you're stressed about how you're going to get there, your mind, your body is constantly in this fight or flight state, which makes it very hard to be creative, which makes it very hard to perform. When you let go of that state of panic, of that state where you're just very instinctually acting, you know, almost like an animal that's in danger. I mean, I'm sure you've seen it in a documentary when an animal is being like attacked by another animal that's maybe like hunting it. It's just a fight or flight response, and that is it. It's not thinking about anything else. And the same goes for you, only that that animal like 10 minutes later will go back to looking for food or grazing or doing whatever it was doing before it was being hunted. Whereas with you, you're maybe constantly in this state of stress. You're constantly feeling this anxiety because you're thinking of how am I going to do it. So allow yourself to be removed out of that state. Remind yourself that yes, this fight or flight response is something natural, is something that we as humans have in common, also with animals, but what is not natural is to constantly be in that state. That is destructive, and that is in the end going to ruin you, group number 4. So allow yourself to pick yourself up out of it, allow yourself to motivate yourself to let go of that, because if you don't do it for yourself, nobody else will, and you'll just spiral to a point where maybe you'll get depressed, maybe you'll see a therapist and they'll just say, well, you're just an anxious person. Whereas it is not natural to be overly anxious. You know, we're not built to constantly have anxiety. And that is something that I feel like is a little too normalized in our society, where we almost feel like we're powerless to change that. But know that you have the power, know that you can change these sort of feelings, and that you can get yourself to a point where you can just let things flow and see things starting to happen. So group number 4, this is the reading that I received for you. I truly hope that you enjoyed it and that you found it insightful. Let me know down below what really hit home, and I will see you in one of my upcoming videos.